We are live. We are direct. She leads, she sells with Erin Anderson, who is a relationship business coach helping high achieving women break through the subconscious patterns, arresting their development and growth, helping to release the money blocks so they know their worth to create greater impact, create greater wealth, create greater health. There's no more self-doubt, no more burnout, no more playing small, no more unaligned action. Because
Yes.
the internal world is a reflection of the external world.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome, Erin. She leads, she sells.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jay. Appreciate it.
Amazing. High achieving female entrepreneurs. Let's dig a bit deeper. What does that look like? What does that mean?
I think that's a different vision for a lot of women, you know? My personal vision probably aligns with a lot of them, but like for me, high achieving means, yeah, obviously, making good money with what I'm doing, bringing in good clients, like really aligned clients. But it's more than that for me because, I'm a mom of 6 kids.
No way.
Yes, 18 to 4 is the age gap between my kids. I also own a little farm, right? So I'm also a farm girl. I've got lots of different aspects to my life. So like success looks like happy kids, happy farm animals, happy husband, happy life in a lot of different ways because of what I do, how I show up. And so like with women, because we're wearing so many different hats, there's mamahood, there's entrepreneurship, which every mom out there is an entrepreneur, let's just be honest, okay? And because she's wearing so many different hats, success is going to look different to her than what it does to me.
Makes sense. Let me know. Visibility is a big thing for women. How are you getting visible? Like, how are you connecting with people, booking calls with people? Like, what's your visibility process like?
So right now, I've actually honestly cut down my visibility a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, okay? And here's the reason why. Because I think with visibility, we get so hung up and like I've got to be visible, I've got to be heard, I've got to be visible, I've got to be heard. And sometimes that mindset in and of itself can cause us to burn out. And that mindset actually did cause me to burn out and not very long ago, to be honest with you, right? And so for me, I mean, again, like this kind of comes back to that whole like, what does success actually look like for us? Right. For me, I actually did kind of cut back a little bit, like on my social media posting and trying to get like all these reels out and like trying to do all the things. Right. And, I decided to get a lot smarter with it. Okay. And here's what's happened. Okay. I have a podcast. I actually have 2 podcasts, right? One is The Other Side of the Struggle, Healing from Betrayal Trauma. When I first started coaching, I started helping women heal from betrayal trauma from like their husband's pornography addictions or narcissistic abuse or etc. Then I realized that, a lot of women in business are dealing with trauma and they're using trauma patterns. And so that is now expanded into like building the unbreakable boundary and, creating the life and business that we love, right? So I've kind of expanded my business out this way. And so that's included a second podcast called the Bold Hearts Big Moves podcast, right? Now, what I do is when I record episodes on each one of those podcasts, I have a little AI tool. It's called Cusco AI. I've actually got it up on my screen right now. And I take those podcasts and it breaks them up into little reels for me and immediately sends them out into all those social media outlets, right? That takes me maybe 5 hours a week now, right? So being smarter with my time. Now, here's what's happened, right? On YouTube, I'm getting roughly about 5 to 10 subscribers a week now, right? So that's blown up quite a bit actually, just since I've scaled back. I've got way more people listening to me on Facebook because I've scaled back. And I've got more people listening to my podcast because I've scaled back. And here's the reason why. And I've taught this a long time ago, but it never really connected in like my marketing like it has now. And basically it is the whole like Christian concept of don't cast your pearls before swine. If we are sitting here worry too much about like our visibility and if we're getting hurt or like pushing ourselves to get all the reels done and we have to be visible, visible. Our message gets lost. But me pulling back and allowing myself to just be more authentic is exactly what created the visibility that I needed.
Amazing. And I think it's about doing things your way. I'm speaking with someone who's going to be running ads for me to help fill my events.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you put a certain amount in the ad budget, 300 registrants, and you could do that once a month potentially, and that could be something that you do there. How about sales? What does sales mean to you, and how are you enrolling clients?
So sales is actually a skill that we learn, right? And for me, I'll be honest, like if I am one-on-one with someone, I'm really great at selling because I'm in a conversation, I'm hearing what their needs are, right? I'm able to sit down with them and I'm able to help them see like how my programs or what I offer is a solution to what it is that they want, right? So that's a great skill to learn too, being able to really listen to what people are saying, right? But then the next skill you have to do is you need to be able to take what people are telling you and put that into copy, meaning like what we're saying, like what we're writing, okay? Because I've pulled back a lot, I'm not doing a lot of webinars right now. I'm not doing a lot of like quote unquote online copy yet, right? Okay. Because, like I said, I'm also a mom of 6 kids. I've got a lot of other things going on, and I have to take a look at like what my time is telling me. And if I'm not honoring my time, what ends up happening is my nervous system overloads and I burn out, right? And I've seen so many entrepreneur women do this very thing. Right. And so again, like I said, like, yeah, marketing is really, really important for our businesses, especially if we want visibility, if we want to be heard, but it needs to be intentional.
Hmm.
It needs to be a lot more intentional. You need to take a look and see like, okay, do I want more online sales? And if I do, I got to get really good at copy. Do I want more in-person sales? If I do, then I need to be really good at hearing, listening, and speaking with my clients about like what it is they really want.
Makes sense. What's the big plan for you for 2026?
So 2026, I'm actually speaking in a couple of places this year. I've got the Art of Expansion coming up. That's in Provo, Utah on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And I'm going to be talking about building the unbreakable boundary, right? And I've actually been talking a little bit about the unbreakable boundary in this podcast. And that is basically showing up in the most authentic way that makes sense to you, right? Because that's where our boundaries actually are created. It's actually an internal thing. So I'm speaking about that. And then I'm also speaking about building the unbreakable boundary plus healing trauma in Wyoming. Sometime in July, we're still nailing down the dates. So I've got those things coming up, and I'm also getting a book coming out this year. I've got my podcasts that I'm kind of focusing more on, and I'm also bringing out some new products and ways to help people. So that's all happening in 2026. So a lot of good stuff coming up.
Amazing. How are you finding the balance of having 6 kids and running your coaching business?
So that comes down to honoring my time boundary. We have actually 7 different types of boundaries. We have our listening and our talking boundary, which is actually our key boundaries in general, okay? Because they flow into all of the other aspects of our life. But then we also have our physical boundary, our sexual boundary, our energetic boundary, and our time and our money boundary. So there's 7 different types of boundaries. And when you're talking about like, how do I find time? That is a time boundary, right? So number 1, it takes really good listening skills. Listening to how my body is reacting to being with my kids all day, right? I love my kids. They're great. They're amazing, but they're needy little beings. And if I don't take time away from them sometimes, right, then I kind of become a little bit of a monster mom. Go figure, right? But my business is the same way. Sometimes before I used to allow my business to overload my nervous system because I'm like, it's like I just got pushed. I got to have money, and hustle culture does not work well for moms and not well for women in general. Right? It does. It overloads our nervous system. And so same thing with my business. I have a lot of things that I'm going to do that day. So like today I'm working on a chapter of my book, right? And I'm going to just work on the chapter of my book. Tomorrow I've got like 2 podcast episodes that I want to record, edit, and get out, right? And so it's just like little tiny things every single day that I'm doing so that way my nervous system still stays calm, stays in alignment and consistent, because it's our consistency that creates the results that we want. It's not like spending all of this time, and this is like one of the misconceptions that we get. We think that if we're going to get good results, then we have to be like crazy in the ways that we spend our time. We have to like give all of our time to our business, and it's not true. It's being consistent with little amounts and just really focusing on that time that you're allotting. And it's the same thing with my kids, just focusing on that time.
Thanks for sharing that. And tell me, what are you reading right now? I know you're writing your book, but you know, what are you reading right now?
So what I read and write. So I love Jane Austen, all things Jane Austen. Big fan, really big fan. I know you're from the UK. You know, I love things over there. Really, really, really love things over there. But I'm actually, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what her name is. Ryan. I can't think of her last name. But basically, I've been reading one of her books recently about like the law of manifestation. She talks about a lot of actually what I've been saying, especially with women, and that is just being a lot more true to our nervous systems. Like being present is actually what gives us the ability to manifest the things that we say we want. Actually being present in what we say we want, right? There's a law in the universe that once we actually create something in our brain and we can actually like embody that, feel what it feels like to have that thing, we're a lot more likely to get it in our lives. So she talks about that. Another coach that I've been listening to recently is Mary Morrissey. She's amazing, right? Again, same thing, like talking about like the law of attraction and like how to increase our wealth. And one of the things that I love, again, that she talks about is like how everything needs to be created twice. You have to create something in your mind first before it can actually be created on the outside. So talking about clarity is a big key piece there. And as far as what I'm writing right now, I am writing 2 books actually. One is just about done. It's called the 7, oh my gosh, sorry, my brain just totally shut off there, but it's the 7 pillars of living the unashamed life. There it is. Okay. And I talk about in that book about like how we can switch from trauma into triumph. Because what I've noticed, like with people, there's 7 different adversaries that keep us stuck in trauma. And then there has to be a level of forgiveness to be able to move into the pillar. And so to give you an example of that, I see people a lot of times, especially in relationships, talk about like how they have like these expectations for relationships. But the problem with expectation is we often set ourselves up for deep disappointments, right? And especially because we're saying, like, I expect this from this person, right? And I get it because, like, when we're in, vulnerable relationships like husband and wife and things, we do want fidelity. We want emotional trust. We want these things from our spouse, right? And so we think we should be able to say we should expect that, right? But in reality, it's our intention that makes the difference. How do we intend to show up? Because if we want our spouse, and I can tell you this, I've lived this personally. If we want our spouses, our children, our business partners, whoever it is that we're in relationships with, to show up authentically as well, the only way that happens is if we intend ourselves to show up authentically. So that's just the first pillar. And then there's 6 more after that. So that's one of the things I'm writing. And then I've also got a book that I'm writing about the 7 different types of boundaries as well.
Amazing. Let them know, how can they connect with you, and who specifically are you looking to connect with?
So my client is the female entrepreneur. Like I said, when I talk about entrepreneurs, yes, she can run a business or she's running a home, one or the other. Okay. And she realizes that she has these goals, these dreams, these aspirations, but she's also looking at her relationships, maybe the relationship with herself, the relationship she has with money, the relationship she has with her partners, her business partners, her kids, wherever it is. And she sees that those relationships are a block. Once we start actually peeling back the layers of what those relationships are telling her, I can actually tell her exactly what her biggest blocks in life are, whether it be the fear of missing out, the fear of standing out, like there's some sort of fear behind them. And once we find out what that fear is, there's certain things that we can do to adjust, to reprogram. And all of a sudden she finds herself in exactly what it is that she wanted in the first place. So my female entrepreneurs out there, if you guys are looking for help with your relationships so that way you can get the XYZ thing, let me know. You can reach out to me through my podcasts, either, The Other Side of the Struggle, Healing from Betrayal Trauma, or Bold Hearts, Big Moves. And you can also email me at Erin Anderson coaching. Erin at erinanderson-coaching.com.
Amazing. Thanks for hopping on today, Erin, and wishing you every success in 2026.
Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.